Welcome to WTF, WesBank Talks Finance, the podcast that turns WTF moments into knowledge that you can use to make informed financial decisions. Subscribe to get notifications when we release new episodes. We've got Declan Jones, who looks after the ecosystem journey at WesBank, together with Dane Reddy, who is the head of digital. And they've been cooking something hot for us in as far as digital is concerned. Welcome to WesBank Talks Finance.
Thank you, Lebo.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All good. So today we're talking digital. And quite importantly, I think maybe the conversation has shifted to digital being an innovation and wow, digital is on our doorstep. But I think really the conversation is now where we're saying, what do you do with digital? To really make the customer's journey easier, to help them with decisions. And I'm going to start with you, Declan. How are we doing that? What are we seeing out there? And how are we moving on from the conversation being just digital?
Thanks so much, Lebo. And it's a very important point that you make. Digital is everywhere and everybody's talking digital. I think the important thing for us is the unique tools that we're hoping and have brought to market to assist in the buying journey. And one of those tools in particular is our finance application. And the beauty about the finance application and in terms of trends that we're seeing with customers is that a lot of research is actually conducted online prior to purchasing the vehicle. Now, the reality is you can research to your heart's content, but a key component that customers often do not understand, roughly 40% of customers that walk onto a dealer floor, is what they can actually afford. And the Fast app application that we've got embedded in many of the journeys that either sit on vehicle manufacturer sites or within our own sites and our own apps is a bespoke affordability calculator for the customer to understand what they can afford. This empowers the customer when they walk onto the dealer floor to know in the back of their mind, this is what I can buy and this is what I can search for. So just being digital is one thing. We can put a digital calculator out there as we have, but that really isn't bespoke, looking towards the customer's true needs to understand their affordability.
I like that. And you spoke about something quite important there. I just want to, turn the focus on you, Dane, so we can double click on trends. I'm sure in your space, through the customer journey, there are a couple of trends that you are seeing in as far as digital is concerned, adoption, usage, and all of those wonderful things. Do you maybe want to take us through that?
Sure, thanks, Lebo. With Fast app, like Declan has mentioned, we've taken that customer-centric approach. So we understand the sort of anxiety associated, with vehicle finance. From the trends, we've looked at reducing the amount of fields that a customer fills off. Prior to Fast app, the application was very long. Customers may have dropped off and not completed it. So we've looked at our finance application, which is Fast app, from a point of view of breaking it down into bite-sized consumable pieces. We provide an approval to a customer with just 5 fields. So their name, surname, gross, net, and their ID number. And WesBank is able to produce an outcome to that customer. So, from the trends of customers being anxious about filling out an application, they're dropping off, WesBank sort of saw this as an opportunity and designed an application that's far more, consumer centric, far more easier to fill. And very much customer in than bank out. So that's sort of, the trends on the Fast app.
And I think you're touching on something quite important there, which is the experience. Why is that important? Firstly, why is the customer experience important? Why is it important to ease that burden of the customer? And having had asked this question, are we seeing the difference from before we ease the journey to now? Declan?
Yeah, so I think the benefit and the peace of mind that a customer gets is invaluable. This is probably the second biggest purchase you're going to make, barring purchasing a house. It is a significant contributor to your expenses in the household. And in order to make an informed decision, I think brings rich value to the customer. It's also always easier when a computer says no. We are inherently human and we are inherently proud. And it removes that angst of having to look at somebody that you really don't know. Having to tell you, sorry, Declan, you can't afford this. When the computer says no, it's a lot more easy to accept, I think, and it also doesn't infringe on a human being's personal feelings of adequacy or affordability. So I think that brings the peace of mind. It's not just the only component that we've got. We talk a lot around FastApp, but there are a lot of account services that we've got on app. This allows the customer to actually service for themselves at a time they choose to, not having to sit and wait on contact center agents, sitting waiting to hold music, or going through IVRs. I can go in and service myself. Specifically, we are seeing a significant uptake on self-service within our digital platforms at the moment. Roughly 140,000 actions a month going through there. And this is empowering customers to do it at the convenience of their own time, where they would like to do it, either through their app or on our online services.
Great. So the computer says no. I can't help and think about the fact that there's always been talk about, digital is replacing human beings, those human one-on-one interactions. Once the computer says no, what then happens beyond that interaction is in as far as you may not afford now, yes, but does the computer then give you, more information in terms of how do you make it better? How do you improve going forward? What are the kinds of things that you look at? Do we have sort of that intelligence built into the journey?
We've got a service called a counter offer service, which is quite a clever service. So effectively, if a customer applies for, let's use R1 million, and they can't afford that, the FastApp will say, you can't afford R1 million, but you can afford up to 800,000. So that sort of tries to find the best affordability position. And conversely, if a customer applies for R1 million but can afford more, FastApp will also tell you that. In the scenario where a customer's affordability at that moment in time is, not at the level to be financed, we sort of give consumer ed at the end to say you can't afford it right now. Consider looking at your debt, etc. But please come back to us. Our doors are always open, to customers. It's never a hard no, but there's always that coaching. So we've learned from the past in terms of how we manage these types of scenarios. We provide that consumer ed in terms of why the decline.
That's awesome. Now, in our space, and when I say our space, as the sort of VAF, vehicle asset finance industry as such, there's inherently two customers, right? We've spoken about how this is easy for sort of the retail end customer. How do we then weave in sort of the other customer who is the dealer? Because I think that's a huge consideration of the industry.
Most definitely, Lebo. I mean, the criticality of fulfillment and the special role that a dealer does play in this whole journey is critical. Dealers themselves, though, have also realized that they need to leverage digital assets that do exist out there. And one of the initiatives that we've put forward is a virtual dealership where dealers can load their vehicles onto our virtual dealership. The beauty about that is that for the dealers that do load their vehicles on this platform, it does have the finance journeys embedded in there. The customer can do multiple searches for vehicles. And ultimately, we pre-populate those vehicle details for the customer in the finance journey, which is great. And then in the back end, we do provide, should the customer allow us and give us consent to, provide those leads back onto the dealer. So we want to try and make this journey as seamless as possible, allowing the dealer to, show off the stock that they've got on their floor, link that in with the finance journey so that the customer can know that they can afford the vehicle, and then provide that very hot lead back in to the dealer network, where the dealers can then contact those customers, should they consent to fulfill on that deal. Ultimately, as South Africans, everybody wants to kick the tire, all right? And particularly in this space of the virtual dealer, many of the vehicles are used and customers want to inspect it. So the role that the dealer plays in fulfilling that journey is important. There's also a very cool services that come along for the customer. You can organize for a live view with the vehicle. You can contact the dealer. The dealer will walk around, give a live view of the vehicle. You can organize a test drive. Some of the dealers will actually bring the vehicle to you, dependent on the dealership themselves. And you can request a trade-in offer on your vehicle. So again, looking to enhance the journey digitally as far as we can to make this ease of transaction, but ultimately the transaction does happen on the dealer floor. The other area that we've got, not just for the dealers, but for our original equipment manufacturers that we've got, is bespoke offers that they can place onto our app within the F&B world. And those are offers that are bespoke to F&B customers that customers would qualify for, or just generic offers that anybody would qualify for. The OEMs can put them out there, and again, the finance journey embedded into that. So again, customers will understand whether they can afford it or not. Very nice GPS location of your closest dealer where you can get these deals from. And again, just enhancing the digital tools available to make it as seamless as possible so that the customer can end up knowing what they can afford on the dealer floor to fulfill.
Sure. So it sounds like a fully fledged sort of solution or ecosystem, as we would like to put it. Any other exciting things, Dane? Something that's either now happening or in the pipeline that you'd maybe like to touch on?
Look, we are always busy with something in the digital space. And when we look at the maintenance component of your vehicle, so we spoke about the acquisition, the search component, but within the maintenance space, we spoke about account services, so you're managing your account, but then there's some practical stuff like tires that you might want to change and replace. So WesBank's come up with a solution. It's called the WesBank Shop, or the W Shop, and what you can do there is you can add tires to your vehicle finance and pay it off over the existing term and interest rates. That was sort of our first step. We've got a few partners in Tiger Wheel and Tire and Tyres and more. Our latest sort of integration is for F&B banked customers. So you can use your eBucks now to purchase tires as well. So, like we said earlier, it's really creating this ecosystem. It's not only if you financed with WesBank, but it's partnering throughout that entire sort of journey. So it's as simple as going onto the F&B app. We have the category on there in Navcar and under the Buy Now menu. And you can use, it has to be as simple as this. Use your eBucks to purchase your tires. That's one of the options that you can use. If you're a bank customer with WesBank and you have your finance with us, you can then add it to your vehicle finance. There's obviously a screening process where we look at affordability, but we've seen a good uptake in terms of customers making use of it.
Exciting.
And that sort of validates our position when we research and when we look at these value propositions. So I must say it's very heartening for the teams that have landed these projects. And I think that's part of a very exciting innovation.
Dick, you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think there's always the question why WesBank and F&B, and Dane touches on this world of Navcar that exists within F&B, and for banked customers, there's a lot of vehicle-related ownership needs. So the fact that you might not be financed with us doesn't mean that you might unfortunately need to pay a fine. You definitely have to renew your license. You need to protect your vehicle, short-term insurance, scratches, dents, service and maintenance plans, warranties. Those all reside on the F&B app, and you can get quoted on that. So again, we're not limiting the services that we offer just to the finance journey, but looking to open up and add value into our customer base for accessories, value-added products, services, critical things like tires to keep your car safe, and giving interesting ways of actually paying for these, like buying your tires with eBucks.
Sure. Exciting times. And, thank you, Declan, and thank you, Dane, for really taking us through the journey. All the best. And we really look forward to what's coming ahead. Exciting space to be in, without a doubt.
Thank you, Lebo.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. We hope that you found it useful. Now go and subscribe to be notified when our next informative episode is available.